Andrew, I know you'll take the 2 points, but does there need to be better response in the third period when you're up 3-0?
Well, I think the response was winning the game. I think there's an element of game management that we definitely did not show in the third. Too many penalties, so I think they had 2 power play goals and then a penalty kill goal. So we did not play great in the third. Our second was probably our best, but found a way to win, which is, especially against a team like that, those 2 points are important.
Andrew, considering your roots, considering just how big this night was for this organization, can you put into words just the start of the night, hearing Sergei talk about it and ending it with an overtime winner?
Yeah, I think growing up here, you used to watch how dynamic he was as a player. I think maybe I was a little young, so maybe I didn't appreciate how good he was. I saw an hour-and-a-half video hop up on my Twitter feed today, or X feed today, and I was like, I don't have an hour and a half, but I would like to see all the highlights. I'm sure that it was a very special night for him and his family, and glad we could find a way to pull it off.
Andrew, given the stage and the stakes tonight, does this feel like maybe the biggest goals you've scored as a Red Wing? Is it up there for you anyways?
Yeah, maybe up there. Trying not to get too wrapped up in any game before game 50, before we get down the stretch. I think it's 2 points against a team that's right at the top of the Eastern Conference, and we got another one tomorrow. And that's just the way the season's going right now. Just games on games on games, and it's a bit of a sprint to the Olympic break, and then a few of us will get to take a breath, a few of us won't, and I'll be enjoying the breath at that point. But it's going to be a sprint to the end. So we got to get back at it tomorrow.
You were able to create a lot against them in the first 40, and that's a team that's really hard to create against. What were you doing right there?
I think we just found a way to play on our toes. I think the game in Carolina, we just kind of felt like we were on our heels, and maybe weren't anticipating, weren't skating as much. Just they were knocking a lot of pucks down. And I think we got a little bit more predictable tonight, and when predictability happens, you can play a little bit faster. So I think we did that. I think our chances, the shots that we did get, we didn't get many in terms of overall total, but I think we had a lot of good looks. So those were maybe quality over quantity, but we got to find a way to get more too.
How did the energy in the building factor into that?
Well, I think especially the start. He kind of it's tough when your routine is way off. Like we're kind of sitting out there in the cold, and then we hop on the ice, and it's very different. But I think the early power play goal and the fans, obviously, the packed stadium for warm ups and everything like that. So finding a way to get up 3-0, and building was buzzing, and can't give it back like we did, but found a way.
I'll ask you this: if that's not the biggest goal that you scored, if you don't want to quantify it, is this the best hockey you've played as a Red Wing so far?
I guess so. Yeah, I think trying not to get too wrapped up in that either. Just trying to play a good game tomorrow, play the game that's in front of me, not try and force anything, especially offensively, and make sure I'm solid everywhere. So trying not to get too wrapped up in that, but I feel the best about our team that I've felt in a while. So that's all that matters.
Alex, I'm sure that's not exactly how you wanted to draw up the ending to that game, but how'd you guys stay in the fight and ultimately come away with the win?
Yeah, I think the third period is obviously not our best. It is what it is. We keep battling and getting 2 points in overtime. I think it doesn't really matter how we get them as long as we get them.
As a Michigan kid, what was it like to be on the bench pre-game? One go to the rafters?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think anytime anyone's number is retired and you get to witness it, it's pretty cool. And being from here and watching him grow up when I was growing up, and how big of a part he was to this team, and obviously the legacy he leaves is very cool for me.
To what extent could you sense a little extra energy in the building tonight with Sergei's ceremony and Carolina in first place on the line?
Yeah, we definitely felt the energy in the first period, and throughout the game, obviously they were loud. They were keeping us in it, and obviously we got 2 points, so hopefully we can do it a little easier for them next time, but got the 2 points nonetheless.
Alex, what do you guys, I know you got the 2 points, but what can you maybe do to respond better in the third period in a game like this?
Not give them opportunities on the power play. I think be more crisp on our power play. I think we were sitting back a little bit too much throughout the third period and letting them hem us in our zone and attack us pretty strong, keeping our guys out there too long. So if we can do that, we can play in their zone a little bit better, and Obviously when we're in the box, it's tough to, defend. They have a good power play, and, they're going to put in the net. So I think we got to be a little bit better there.
They're a team that generally doesn't give up a whole lot, but you guys were able to create a lot through the first 40 minutes. What were you doing that gave them problems?
I think supporting each other pretty good. It's those little chips that we're able to beat them and get some odd man rushes and play in their zone. I think it's just supporting each other and being close. And they're a tough team to play. They come with a lot of pressure. So I think that's what we were doing well the first 2 periods that we didn't do the third period.
Another goal for James. Right in front of him, just how key is his net front play for this team, especially for the team's success?
Yeah, he's been great for us. Seems like everything he touched goes in the net, and it's great to have him on the power play and be there and clean up the garbage, and obviously 5-on-5 too. He's been great. So he's a great addition to the team, and we'll keep rolling. Alex,
To sit and watch those videos, to hear the music of your childhood and see those memories, did it take you back to being a young kid in town?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of great memories growing up watching those teams, and it's just a special night to be a part of, and we're happy we got the win for him.
Alex, what can you say about the way he elevated his offense over the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, he's been great. I think he battles so hard and is able to make those little plays off the boards. He's been a great addition to our line, and I think we can keep that momentum and keep going.
Everybody had kind of a Nike tape on their skates, so you tempted to leave it on there at least for a game.
Yeah, I would have loved to leave it on. I don't think they would have let us do that, but it was pretty cool being out there in warm-ups and trying to get his look and feel his speed for a little bit, trying to do that.
Todd, just how do you describe the way that game played out after what felt like a dominant first 2 periods and then ultimately ending in overtime?
Yeah, I don't know if the first 2 periods were really dominant. They were pretty evenly played. We took advantage of some of the opportunities that we had. I wouldn't say that we were running away with the game. In fact, the last 5 or 6 minutes of the second period, you could feel it switching a little bit in their favor. We had a number of face-offs in our zone, which we won and didn't do much with. And it kept coming back and lost a little bit of rhythm. Third period, we got into penalty trouble. Not a team you want to get into penalty trouble against. Probably penalties we don't need to take. And, the Kill did a good job early in the game, but 5-on-3 against that group, they're going to get some looks. Gibby made some real good saves early in it, but we just couldn't get it done there. And for me, the disappointing part was the power play, really. Yet you could say it got us a goal, it got us a lead, it created some momentum and got some energy in the building, which was a really good thing tonight, by the way. But the turnover, and we gave up a couple other 2-on-1s, and we distinctly talked about their ability to play on their toes and go forward, and we played right into it. So we got to clean that up.
You mentioned the energy. How did the atmosphere, the energy from the ceremony carry into the game?
Well, it was, first of all, it was a tremendous night. Great for Sergei and the fans and anybody that got to participate in it. What's really unique about these original 6 teams, we were in Montreal the other night, just the detail that goes into the event is so well done. Maybe because they've been doing it for 100 years, I don't know. But it was an outstanding event. Hard for the players sometimes, though. You sit for a while, your routine's out, your mind kind of wanders, and bang, you're right back into it. But if it was that hard, we would have been down by 3 instead of up by 3. So we took advantage of the energy that was in the building.
You've talked about game management and what's between the ears quite a bit. Is that kind of what you saw in the third period?
Yeah, you know what, we didn't. We had opportunities to execute with the puck, and we didn't. Things tightened up for us a little bit. We ended up flipping some pucks that didn't go to good areas, so we gained possession and then gave it back to them. And then the penalties, it's sometimes easier to play when you're down by 1 and you're just throwing everything you can at the other team. And then all of a sudden there's a couple penalties and 5-on-3, so it changed the momentum. And once it ended, game regulation was over, I thought the game started all over again in overtime, which was a good thing for us.
Another goal for James, directly right in front of the net again. And I go back to one of Sergei's longtime teammates and a player you coached, in Thomas Holmstrom.
Yep.
Do you see any of Holmstrom in Van Riemsdyk's game, and just how crucial has his play directly in front of the crease been for this team?
Well, the second part of that, it's really important. We've got him there now, and I've talked about this before. He can create space for himself or create space for people around him. So he's a load to handle, and he's a little different than Homer. Homer was all about the screen and the chaos that he created. The game was played different then too. It was a cross. You could cross check as many times as you wanted, and Homer hung in there and created chaos. Just a little more calculated. A lot of times teams leave that net front guy alone until they have to deal with him, and that was the case tonight. James was by himself and he put it in. So, but he's got a knack around there. It may be a little different than Homer though.
It's not the way you would have drawn it up, but you've talked a lot lately about finding ways to win, and you keep piling up points. Just how important is that just to keep accumulating here, even when you have lapses like that in third period? Yeah,
that's important. I think back, in the past that we probably don't win that game. So the fact that we let it get away on us, but we could still reel it back in, get a point at least, find a way to win in overtime is a sign of graduation. And there's going to be iffy spells. That team plays that game night after night after night, no matter who they play against. You look at the shot totals, and that's just the way it is. And you need good goaltending. You need timely scoring to beat them. Your special teams have to come out on top. I think we're even in all of that tonight because I consider 3-on-3 a special team. We had the power play. They had the shorty. 5-on-3 is a little bit different. All comes out in the wash.
Todd, just curious, did you have your team or want your team to watch the ceremony on TV or whatever? And what did you hope or do you hope they took out of it?
100%. We were going to participate in this. It wasn't optional by any means. There was no discussion of getting out of it or not being on the bench. The players were excited about it. And, for the individuals that are sitting there, we talked about this morning, the history of the game is really important. I think you're a better player when you understand history and you know what happened and how things happened and why they happened. And to sit there and watch, that type of player in Sergei be honored by who we play for now, not just the organization but the fans, it's pretty special. And, I'm not going to tell you who. Obviously, a little bit younger, but I had a guy ask me, "Who's the guy in the wheelchair?" So just think about that. That is, and I'm so glad he asked the question because now he knows. But they don't all understand the history. Some of them weren't even born then, and that was a really, really important question. The answer was important, and we appreciate what's happened here in the past a little bit more. Everybody, all the players were out on the bench, yeah. And you know what, Carolina as well. I thanked Rod because that's important when the other team shows that respect. And if and when we're ever there, our team will be on the bench for one of their presentations for sure.
I want to go back to what you said about this team graduating a moment ago. Andrew Copp just told us this is the best he has felt about this team in some time. Did you get a sense at a certain moment along the way here of when it is that they graduated, and what is it about their mental makeup that has allowed them to pull through in some of these games even when the result is kind of dangling on a knife's edge?
Well, at training camp it started really. It was pounded. That's where it began. We talked about physically getting stronger and mentally getting stronger. And I'm not sure which one comes first. I actually think the mental part is the one that drives the body, so that's probably the most important. But we have brought it into play over and over and over again. Probably talk about it tomorrow. We're going to Boston, have to play back-to-back again, 4 games in 6 nights. How mentally strong are we? Can we control our bodies? Can we push? Can we play as a group? Can we rely on each other? Those are terms we talk about all the time. And you build that up, you build confidence layer after layer, and sometimes it gets chipped away at, but you keep going, and you hope they believe it and push towards it.
Do you see any major differences in Andrew Copp's game over the past, since you've now been a year with him? And
Well, the arrival last year, I knew Andrew more from Winnipeg than anywhere. And I remember kind of buzzing around and being a checker, penalty killer in that role. When we got here and we finally played him with the two that he's playing with, he became a pretty important piece. Unfortunately, we lost him. Started the year out, we thought Casp would fit that hole, so now where does Copper go? And we've tried him on the wing and in the middle, and he had a spot waiting for him. It was, it wasn't necessarily given to him, but I think he's got more confidence now. He feels like he belongs there. He doesn't want to relinquish that spot to anybody, and he plays like it.
And on that regards with him, we often talk about confidence and everything. It's often a younger player thing everyone talks about, but is he a good example of there's confidence in parts of your game as your game matures?
Oh yeah, it's confidence isn't necessarily age based. I think about my parents at home. They're getting up there in their years, and you could just see a little confidence sometimes go away in them. And they're elderly. They have all the wisdom in the world, but they lose a little confidence. And players can do that too. You can be playing 1,200 games, you lose a little bit of confidence, and now your game changes a bit. You play on your heels. You don't necessarily take the risk that you did before to be successful. And so it's not just a youth-based variable that comes into play. Good night.